In the face of challenges, we can tackle into our internal powers, the sage powers, and there are actually 5. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of In Just 1 Minute or So. Today's topic is the 5 sage powers. Let's jump in. The sage and its 5 powers can meet every challenge, no matter how momentous or daunting. It meets challenges in a way that results in the best outcome, while at the same time generating positive emotions and minimizing negativity and stress. This is how the book Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Chamine starts talking about the sage. If this is your first time in the channel, please check the video Saboteurs and the Sage Powers. It will make more sense if you watch that one first and then continue with this one. So we all have the 5 powers of the sage. We all have the ability to empathize with ourselves and others. We have the ability to explore with deep curiosity, to innovate creative options, to navigate among our options, and choose the paths that best align with our deepest held values and purpose. And finally, we can activate our intention in order to generate results. Now, not every challenge will require all the 5 sage powers, or to have them in a particular order. If the house is on fire, most probably your intention to run will be the first thing to activate. If the solution is obvious, you don't need to innovate. If your options don't have long-lasting consequences or importance, then there's no need to use your sage powers. The first power, empathize. Empathizing is about feeling and showing appreciation, compassion, and forgiveness. Empathy has 2 targets, yourself and the others. Now, for most people, having true empathy for oneself is the hardest thing to do. Why? Because the judge is interfering. In a nutshell, using your power of empathy will recharge your batteries and renew the vitality that is drained by this judge's violence towards you. So what gets in the way? Many of us grow up with our judge telling us that empathizing with ourselves is counterproductive. You need to be tough on yourself, says the judge. But denying yourself empathy is not a sign of strength, as the judge would have you believe. It's setting yourself up for constant beating. Now think about this example. If your child plays in the part of the playground that you warned him not to play in and breaks his leg, you would first get a cast on his leg and empathize with his pain, won't you? After the pain subsided, you would have a conversation about lessons learned and how to avoid the same mistake in the future. Well, of course, the judge would strongly disagree with this approach and demand the punishment right away from the start. The second power of the sage is explore. It is based in curiosity, openness, wonder, and fascination with what is being explored. Exploring is helpful when understanding a problem or situation more deeply could put you on a better path forward. The sage question is, what more can I discover? Most of us draw conclusions, devise solutions, or take actions before we've adequately understood the situation through exploring it fully. So what gets in the way? Well, we all think that we are openly exploring and being curious, but our field of exploration is significantly narrowed by our saboteurs. We are often too busy trying to anticipate the next step or maneuvering to win our argument to let the sage explore. The judge has us look only for what proves the other wrong. The controller only picks up on evidence that insists on its own way. The hyper-vigilant only picks up on signs of dangers and ignores all indications of the contrary. The avoider tries to ignore all signals that something difficult must be confronted. Finally, we often avoid exploring our mistakes and failures fully because the judge's presence makes the act too painful or too conscientious, so we don't learn from them. The sage would turn those mistakes into gifts and opportunities, in part through the powerful discoveries that are made in exploring. The third power of the sage is innovation. True innovation is about breaking out of the boxes, the assumptions, and the habits that hold us back. What is the whole new way to do this? You need this power to innovate when the old way of approaching a situation or the most obvious ways of dealing with it does not suffice. Now, what gets in the way? Well, there are a set of beliefs and assumptions that we operate under, and they are all produced by our saboteurs. They are unexamined, and even sometimes they're even unknown. To protect your sage's power to innovate from saboteurs' interference, you need to give your mind one simple instruction. Come up with as many ideas as possible. That's it. No evaluation of the ideas as you come up with them. Evaluation during innovation is the back door through which the saboteurs enter. The good news is that at the end, all you need is one idea that passes the test. Evaluation of your options may or may not need the sage. This evaluation could be based on simple objective criteria such as cost, effectiveness, impact, degree of difficulty, etc. But if the options you're evaluating have any significant impact on your values, on your purpose or meaning, then you would tap into your sage's power to navigate and help in deciding which one to take. And now the fourth power of the sage, navigation. The sage power to navigate is about choosing between various paths and alternatives based on a consistent internal compass. The coordinates of this compass are your deeply held values or what gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose. If you keep navigating with this compass, your cumulative choices will generate the fulfillment that comes from living life in alignment with your ideals and principles. What gets in the way? Well, our most deeply held values and the things that bring meaning and purpose to our lives do not lie in the rational mind, but rather they live in our hearts. And of course, saboteurs can get in the way. For instance, the judge uses guilt and obligation as coordinates on the compass. The hyper-vigilant tries to navigate us to the path that feels least risky. And the avoider encourages us to navigate a path that sidesteps conflict at all costs. Now, of course, this criteria of navigation, while pleasing the saboteurs, does not result in the best course of action. And finally, 5. The power of activation. Some worry that the sage attitude of accepting everything as a gift and opportunity will lead to passiveness, laziness, and lack of ambition and action. The reality is exactly the opposite. The sage's activate power moves us into pure action, where all our mental and emotional energies are laser focused on action and not distracted by saboteurs. So, to recap, your sage power for empathy will be needed when strong feelings are involved and when emotional reserves are running low. Your power of exploration needs to appear when you need to discover more about what is going on before deciding or acting. Your power of innovation needs to appear when the obvious or existing ideas don't suffice. You need to think outside of the box. Your sage power of navigation is needed when you need to find the alignment with your deeper values, purpose, or meaning. And finally, your power of activation. You need it to take action without any saboteur interference. Alright, and that concludes our episode of the 5 powers of the sage. Thank you so much for being there. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.